Defense Department official telling reporters today that Russia has fired approximately 480 missiles since the invasion began last week.
I want to show you some new video into us here. This is a building on fire in Kyiv. The shelling in and around the capital does continue, and this includes residential areas full of civilians. Ukraine's State Emergency Service saying that more than 2,000 civilians have already perished. Also, according to the UN, over 1 million residents have now fled the country.
And Russian and Ukrainian delegations are meeting for a second round of peace talks in Belarus. Those negotiations, though, don't seem to be going anywhere. Also, in a phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia would achieve its goals in Ukraine no matter what he said. He called reports of civilian casualties disinformation.
And what about that convoy we've been telling you about? The residents of Kyiv are still bracing themselves for this 40-mile-long convoy of Russian tanks. But according to U.S. officials today, day 8, it does remain stalled.
And let's get over to Sarah Williamson, who is live in Kiev, Ukraine right now with the very latest. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, John. Hey, Bianca. Yeah, the situation really did change today when Russia announced that they had captured the southern city of Kherson. The Ukrainian forces also declaring that that city was indeed captured. And it's been really hard to get in contact with anyone there as they cut off the power, cut off the internet and cut off the phone lines to that city. So it's been rather hard to contact anyone there. But there are now reports as well that Russian forces have been planting booby traps and mines within the city in order to hit civilians there. But more civilians are continuing to be killed throughout the country today and since this war really began. The number of civilians killed from that Russian bombardment in that city of Chernihiv today, I reported to you last hour that it was 22, but since then it has now risen to 33. And just yesterday as well, within that 24-hour period, up in the northeastern city of Kharkiv, 34 people died and another 285 were injured, including 10 children. So for a war that says they are not targeting civilians and they're only hitting military targets, this is a lot of civilian casualties and a lot of civilian buildings, a lot of residential areas that continued to be shelled to the ground. Now, it just further, as I mentioned, further solidifies the reason and just adds to the reason why many people are fleeing the country and heading west to the other countries in Europe, and this why we have seen so many refugees within the first 7 days. The UNHCR has reported that within that first week since Russia invaded, we have seen over 1 million Ukrainians flee their homes already, and that number is obviously going to rise within dramatic numbers as these days go on.
And Sarah, as you've been reporting, a lot of people are leaving, but the men have to stay. They're not allowed to leave the country. How is their morale? How are you feeling that the Ukrainian civilian fighters are doing now, despite this ongoing siege of their cities?
They still seem to be rather confident, all of the men that are still in this country, to be honest. I mean, we started off with a really solid crew of Ukrainian men who were helping us, and a lot of them actually left us to go join the territorial defence. A lot of our translators, a lot of our fixers, and a lot of the men that we have come in contact with have all signed up. Now, every day we go through several checkpoints. We go through to meet several store owners. We meet several of these men along the lines, and they are all confident. They all seem to be really doing their job and really seem to be just as they were at the start of the week. So I don't think the morale is down at all. I still think that they are confident that they can get this job done, and I don't think that we are going to see their morale drop anytime soon.
Oh, wow. All right, Sarah Williamson, and thank you for your extensive reporting there. We appreciate that live update. We'll continue to check back in with you.
All right, let's welcome in now Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee and the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee as well. Congresswoman Mace, great to have you with us.
And thank you for having me on today.
Of course. I want to zero in on the Biden administration's response to Putin's war in Ukraine. Some Republicans are calling on President Biden to do more to cut all ties with Russia. We saw him asked yesterday if Putin has committed war crimes. He didn't seem willing to answer that question. Also, our own Kilmeny Ducard on Capitol Hill talked to Senator Mike Braun earlier today, and here's what he had to say about the Biden administration getting tougher on Putin.
There are a lot of different areas from his supply chain, his banking relationships, the SWIFT issue. That needs to be 100% cut off. We have not done that yet. I think they still think that if we go easy, if we play footsie with him, that somehow we'll talk our way out of it. That's not going to happen.
Is that a good way to characterize the way the administration is handling these sanctions so far, playing footsie with Putin?
Well, certainly President Biden said he would go toe-to-toe with Putin, and he has been playing footsie instead. But it's not just Republicans that are asking for more sanctions. I've been involved with meetings and seen some briefings with both Republicans and Democrats alike. And Democrats are, too, asking for President Biden to do more. And we've seen other countries around the world shut off their oil imports from Russia. We know that Putin funds his war regime, and these battles and these fights with the oil and gas economy he has created around the world, including the United States. We import 600,000 barrels of Russian oil every day. And I know there's not one single American in our country today that wants to put 1 gallon of Russian gas in their car, seeing what's going on in Ukraine. There is more to do in the sanctions that have been done. If you read the fine print, there are carve-outs. And so not all of the oligarchs and their entire families are being targeted the way that they should be. And there's more that we should be done, both with SWIFT banking, with personal sanctions and sanctions on those close and in his inner circle.
You know, I believe you have Nancy Pelosi today saying that she is in favor of the idea of banning Russian oil imports, but at the same time, she's unwilling to open up public lands for drilling here. You know, and that's the problem, right? Democrats don't seem to be willing to do the additional things needed to make up for the loss of Russian oil in the U.S. market.
Right, and just moments ago, since I sit on oversight, I just learned that the Oversight Committee is canceling a hearing they were scheduled to have with the oil and gas industry. And I wonder why, right? But if you look at the state of New York, for example, there's enough natural gas in New York to provide for Europe for the next 150 years. We have enough resources naturally to be able to provide for not only our country, but our allies around the world until we're all on electric cars. One day we will be. We're not today, but we have the ability to do this. Yeah. So I was encouraged, though, to see that we are banning Russian airlines from U.S. airspace. That was an encouraging sign this week, but there's much more to be done.
Yeah, we're not going to be on electric cars by the midterm elections, and that's clearly what's at play here with Democrats. They want to have it kind of both ways. Yes, let's ban Russian oil, but no, let's not give the Americans, us the need or the ability to reach our oil needs. You know, real quickly, Congressman, we got one more thing we want to ask you about. The Wall Street Journal has a very big piece on you. It talks about your primary battle against Katie Arrington there, who has been endorsed by President Trump. They interview some voters in your district there, one who says it's okay for a member of Congress, a Republican, to disagree with the president. Another woman said she is not voting for you. She's voting for Arrington because you have criticized President Trump.
Yeah, well, I put my record up against anyone's. When President Trump was lowering taxes in this country, my opponent was raising them, and I was right there with him. I have a 100% record of voting to lower taxes in this country. I can be trusted with our nation's secrets. The military revoked my opponent's top secret security clearance for leaking classified information, and yet as a member of Congress, I've been part of over a dozen classified briefings. We need serious leaders during serious times, and you can see with Russia's aggression, China, with all the challenges our country is facing at the southern border, we need people and leaders in this country that can be trusted. And it's the part of the American experiment for us to be able to debate votes, ideas, and policies, and be able to agree to disagree. We're not going to agree on 100% of the things. And so, but I've been there. My opponent was a never Trumper in 2016. I worked for President Trump in 7 states across the country to get him elected. I supported him in 2020. I supported his policies. I've never wavered on that, and those are important distinctions.
Yeah, so you're obviously you're not running away from your previous support of him. It's a nuanced thing, and most of the media wants it to be either one way or the other, and of course the real world doesn't work like that. Congresswoman, great to see you.
And I represent a swing district. I'm a fiscal conservative in a very purple district. And so the issues are different, and I represent those values.
South Carolina's 1st district is always one of the first ones I check out on the day after Election Day. It is always a tight race. One of the few competitive districts we have left in this country, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's right.
Great to see you, Congresswoman. Thanks so much.
Thank you.